Hello, everyone, and welcome to another question and answer session with Garo Dedeyan. In a minute, we will be muting everyone. Please stay muted unless you wish to ask a question or participate in the discussion. Please use the raise hand function in Zoom to get our attention whenever you want to discuss or ask a question. Please mute yourselves when you are no longer in discussion. This session is being recorded and will be shared on social platforms. Please contact Garo after the meeting if you have any preferences. If you need any help at any time, please let us know. Our moderator today is Amal. This is a friendly Q&A session. We are here to learn and share from one another. All views, opinions, and statements expressed are solely those of the individual speakers or contributors. We hope that you will enjoy our session today. Thank you.
Okay, guys, I think this was clear enough to everybody. Um, so basically, if you have a question or whenever you want to participate, please do the raising of hand on Zoom. If you don't know how to work that out, just raise your hand and hopefully it will see you and unmute yourself, of course, to start speaking. So today we have a beautiful session because ahead of us, we have a combination of people from all sorts of backgrounds, different religions. So this is going to be quite interesting as a session. And I'm here inviting you to put forward your questions. This is an inspired session, so sometimes it's going to take me longer to answer whatever you have. So feel free to participate, please. I've actually included some pointers. A question that I get asked quite often is, why is God allowing things to happen this way in the world? Why does God allow this to happen? So I'd like to address that maybe as a starter. Do you guys have any idea? Do you want to put forward your thoughts, your ideas on this?
Well, I think that God gives people free will, and it's up to people to choose what they do, right or wrong. And I guess he would hope people do the right thing and do good things, and people are choosing to not.
Do you think he's testing us?
Um, I don't know that so much it's a test. I don't think God wants to test us. I think he just wants us to all just do good. Um, but not by testing. No, I don't know about that.
Any other views here? Do you think that we are given the choice and then he's sitting and watching to see the outcome?
I would think, yeah, um, sort of. Not that he's sitting watching, but I guess that part would be okay. But I don't know. I don't really know if he has like control over people to make them do good things. I don't think he would do that. Um, because if he could, then he would. If everybody would be good.
Okay, well, Erica, I am very interested in the way you've put this. And I do believe that to some degree, we are given the free will and we dictate our path, the present, the future. We're given ample guidelines. We have a map to navigate everything that we are living with, everything that we will encounter in the future. But at the same time, there is some degree of free will as well. So we can do whatever we want to do. So if we choose to be at war together with each other, that is our choice. I don't think we've been pitted that way to fight. And if we choose to make peace and be friends and live a wholesome, loving life, then that is again our choice. And I believe this might be the choice that is preferred by the higher being, God, the light, whoever you want to believe in. So,
Mhm.
so really we are with a choice here, but with some sort of guidance at the same time. But why are we failing? Why is it not working for us? Because now, if you look around what's going on, there seems to be a rise in the hatred between people. I don't know if you're noticing the same thing as I am. Do you feel that people are hating each other more than before?
Yeah, people want to live in the moment. They want to have power. They want to be the greatest here on earth. I don't think people are realizing that after earth there is heaven, and we should all strive to be in heaven, and people aren't. They're just not. Either they don't believe in heaven or they don't care. Um, I believe that we should all just be good so that we can end up in heaven and be in heaven, and that's where the paradise and peace and happiness and love is all in heaven, and that's what God wants. Um, and I think people on earth are just realistic. They want power. They want to live and get what they want, take what they want. They're just
Uh,
not realizing that there's more to it.
could we not achieve this sort of heaven without actually waiting for it on the other side? Could we not achieve, do you think we can achieve it here on Earth without the need for waiting for it?
We should. We should do, but people just don't.
Absolutely, I agree. We should and we could, but people don't, unfortunately. Liz, I saw that you raised your hand. If you want to say anything, please feel free. So really here, if we want to look at this from a different perspective, from a down-to-earth human perspective, really what we're saying here is that the bottom line, the choice is in our hands. As you said, we could. So that means we could, our choice, and we should, our choice, but we're not doing it. So really, this removes God from the equation. We are responsible for our actions. We choose the path. It is our choice. We are where we are because we choose to be where we are. This is how I feel about it. Okay, any questions? Please feel free. Marina, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes. But can you please,
Yes.
so we can also see you?
I don't particularly want to sort of be shared on social media. That's why I've not turned it on. Do I? Do I have to?
That's fine. Go ahead, please.
Is that okay? Thank you. Um, I was just wondering because we were talking about sort of um, bad things happening, and I understand, free will in the sense that we can choose how to respond. I'm just sort of thinking about situations that might come about in which they're very, negative, unfortunate situations. Um, before one even responds to them, sort of negative situations and bad things that happen in the world that perhaps you might not have caused or had a role in, but it happens nonetheless. And it could be a small day-to-day thing, lots of bad luck or what have you, or something larger. I'm just wondering what your thoughts are around that.
Can you give some example, please?
Um, I'm just sort of thinking maybe people caught up in wars, victims, that sort of thing. Um, Sort of, yes, to some degree, I guess you have a control over the response, but you know, terrible things can obviously happen that perhaps had nothing to do with the person. Maybe I don't know. I guess that's what I'm sort of thinking. Does that make sense?
Um, Wars are extremely unfortunate. As I'm speaking now, my own home country, Lebanon, is in turmoil. Uh, and unfortunately, it's our own making. Wars are based on fear. The bottom line is fear. Fear uh, propagates and is the catalyst to all sorts of problems, social level, human level. Fear induces the will for seeking power. And when we want power, we want money, we want power over others, and we will use any form of entitlement, be it religious, be it nationalistic, patriotic, whatever it is, just so we can find a justification for us to be able to fight and go to war with others. Unfortunately, this is our ignorance and fear that come into to play. And of course, there is the greed aspect. People fight to take other people's resources, and that's how it's been, and that's how it's going to always be. When we start to understand that we can never win, there are no winners in any war. Never. There is always a price to pay. Every single battle, even the ones that we think we've won, we will walk away with scars, and some of them will never heal. Wars are not meant to be fought. We are humans. We are meant to be loving each other, caring for one another, looking after each other, being of service to one another. There's enough resources to go on this planet for everyone to be living happy, comfortable, safe, without the need for war, without the need of taking what's not theirs, whatever the justification. So, this is the ugly side to humanity, I guess. And this is why we are failing, because we are fighting wars that are meaningless. And we just suffer and make everybody else suffer with us. I hope I was clear in my reply to you.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you.
Someone asked me also about, for instance, cancer. Uh, some some people have to see their loved ones suffer because of cancer and eventually pass away. And again, they ask me, why did God allow cancer? Why does God not heal people? Why doesn't? And I say again, we are living in a vibration that is not compatible with the way that our making has been and was from the beginning. We are not living in a healthy way. We live with fear, we live with trauma, we live unhealthy lives through mind, body, and spirit. We're not aligned properly, and all sorts of symptoms occur as a result. So, this is not the doing of God. God gave us the direction. but we chose a different type of life. If you look on the social platforms, there is so much hatred, and so many people are so vocal and attack one another. This emotional trauma and provocation and all this energy, negative energy, comes from somewhere and has to go somewhere. And it affects us. Our foods are imbalanced. We are consuming that which we should not be consuming. Our lifestyles are not at their peak. We are trying to survive, all of us, because we all have become enslaved to the system that dictates we need to work for money and we have to work to eat. Otherwise, we will not survive. The system is faulty right from the beginning, and this is why we're suffering. Anyone else? Liz, please go ahead. Who is afraid of death?
Yeah, I'm not.
You're not, Erica.
No,
Why do you feel you're not afraid?
because I want to live in heaven, be in heaven forever, paradise. I look forward to it.
Is it because you've made your peace with yourself already?
Part of it, yeah. You know, I believe that there's heaven and God and all good things up there. And if it's for eternity, then I'm looking forward to it all. It's good. It's a good thing. I mean, dying, I'm not afraid of dying, for different reasons, but that's probably the most um the biggest reason is just because of what happens when you die, where you go and things.
Okay. You as a scientist, do you in your
Hmm.
believe that there is something after this?
Yes, 100%. Yep.
Not even 99%.
Because no, mm-mm. Because I have psychic abilities as well. You know, how does that happen? I can't, people aren't meant to know everything and why everything is. Um, but the one thing that I can count on is that there is heaven and God, because I've experienced a lot in my life too. Some just typical things, and then some miracles, and some things that shouldn't have happened, some things that changed my life, for different reasons. And I would like to think that there was a divine intervention with a lot of my things that have happened. But yeah, scientists or not, I'm leaning towards both sides, and I hope to help people kind of understand that there is heaven as well.
Okay. Now, supposing you go to the other side and there's nothing there.
But I believe that there is. I mean, as a matter of fact, you did a reading, I think it was our first meeting, and you said that my husband said there's way more over in heaven that he ever imagined.
Absolutely. There is a world of wonder on the other side, whatever that may be. I don't think we can grasp what it is. We can't really describe it, feel it in our limited perception and limited mind that we have now. But when we integrate into it, we will sort of come into our own and understand what it's all about and sort of recollect what it's about and what's going on and so forth. And then we see the bigger picture. But yes, personally, I have no doubt that there is something there. Absolutely. Go ahead, Amelia.
Hi, everyone. Hello. Just going back to the discussion on victims, I would like to know and just abbreviate on what my sister said is, there are really innocent people out there, victims of rape, victims of abuse, victims of trafficking, some really dark stuff, who they don't ask for that. They didn't choose that. That's not their human choice. That's not free will. In fact, their free will has been taken from them. I appreciate that. In fact, it's not extreme situations. That's real life, everyday situations for a lot of people. It's just, for a lot of us, we're not aware of that. I, in my time, have sat with people like that. I've had to listen in great detail of their suffering. And I understand that we are all victims in terms of the system and modern day slaves. And, right now, as we all sit here, there's poor children back in your home country being bombed. And I don't understand why that's allowed to happen if God or source or universe is all about love and connectedness. I don't understand. And just everyday people find they are victims in terms of, the system and hierarchy. You've got really good people out there who are struggling to make ends meet. No matter how much they try, they don't choose to be in that situation. The best they can do is choose how they respond to that situation. And, my upbringing was very religious, and it was all about the wrath of God, the fear of God, the punishment of God. I never learned about the love of God until I walked away from religion and fell more under the spiritual umbrella. That's when I started seeing the love of God. But at this moment in time, I'm like, where is God's love? There's only so, and Paula used to say, the best you can do in media is pray. And I'm like, my prayers for the world are just not going to get answered, and I can cry hysterically for all the children on this planet and get lost because I can feel the suffering worldwide. I feel it. And I cry hysterically and I pray. But I'm like, should I even bother anymore? Because what are my little prayers going to do for all the human suffering? But then is it just because we're on this planet, this 3D dimension? It's all about materialism down here. That's part of our suffering anyways. But what about the innocent people out there who are just so innocent and just victims of crime?
I appreciate your question, and I'm going to try to address it in segments, okay? First of all, I'd like for it to be known, I love children. I would give my heart, my eyes to them. I absolutely love kids. And when I see a kid suffering for any reason, it breaks my heart as well. And I'm sure nearly everybody here, if not everybody here, feels the same way. Okay, we all love kids. Some of us here are mothers, fathers, parents. Kids are, they're the blessed angels on this planet. That's how I see them. They're tender. We need to look after them, not hurt them. So going back to people, let's say, getting raped or murdered, there are some people out there who will tell you that prior to us coming here, we choose a path. We choose what we are going to go through as a learning experience. I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that nonsense at all. I don't feel that we have chosen to come here and anybody has chosen to come here and be raped or murdered. I don't think 6 million Jews chose to come here to be executed by one madman and psycho. Okay? I don't believe in that nonsense. I believe we are here and we can either be fortunate enough to live a happy life away from harm, or we may be unfortunate to cross paths with a lunatic who might hurt us. The problem is, again, our focus as humanity is not on the priority of stabilizing, nurturing, looking after those who have issues. For instance, there are people out there with mental trauma, with emotional trauma. There's no a school of thought or a center to take them in, to teach them, to study them, to see what is the trigger. Why does a man, for instance, feel the need to rape someone? What is it that's empowering them? What is it it's giving them? No, they catch them, throw them in prison. You will serve 7 years. He comes out. What has he learned? He's learned to become a better rapist next time. Most of them, they violate again. There is no time or resources being spent on the betterment of humanity, studying that which is a major drawback for us, a deficiency. We have these problems, but rather than address them, we are developing drones that are capable of identifying people through their faces, chasing them, firing missiles at them. And we are developing technology that is so harmful. Again, is for military purposes, again, for war, as opposed to putting resources into studying cancer, tinnitus, all these debilitating conditions and illnesses, mental illness, narcissism. All these need to be studied to find out how they could be eliminated, dissipated, so that people do not suffer from them, not the rapist and not their victims. Because even the rapist, they've got something wrong with them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be behaving this way. What's the trigger? We need to learn this. Why is somebody willing to hurt a child? How can they do it? Why? In England, for instance, we have this unfortunate family who lost their daughter many, many years ago. Perhaps some of you have heard of it, Madeleine McCann. She was abducted, more than likely, possibly murdered. Who would do something like this? Why? What does it give them? This has to be studied. There is a malfunction in humanity. But again, it's painted over, it's ignored, it's put away in a compartment which is safe, out of sight, out of mind. They don't care. Their trajectory is towards world power, money. Let's get the power. Let's get the money. Who cares about the sickos? Who cares about those who are suffering? Who cares about the sadists? Nobody. So unfortunately, as long as we go through this, we're not going to be in a better position, very sadly. It will just continue. And where is God in all of this? Well, God has given us all the tools. And unless we learn from the tools ourselves, well, what can he do for us? I mean, imagine yourself, you have a child and you tell them, don't run in the corridor because the floor is wet. And they run. And they fall. They hurt themselves. But you've told them, don't do it. You're going to hurt yourself. This is a minute example of the grand scheme of things. We've been given ample messages from the other side through religion, through God, through whatever. And unfortunately, people ignore them. And that's where we are right now. I hope I've answered you correctly here. There is the added thing here, Emilio, that you brought up. I myself was brought up in a religious household. Not quite my dad. My dad was a civil engineer. He's like 2 + 2 = 4. He doesn't even believe in God. My mom was very religious. Uh, the school I went to was very religious school, and they loved beating us up. They loved hurting us. And they would say, ironically, they would tell us that God loves you. God is so beautiful and he loves you. And yet they'd have these sticks and beat us and hurt us. Later, I discovered, after I left school, that the brothers, the priests, the monks, whatever they were actually abusing many of the boys who were with me. Luckily, I wasn't victim. So all this nonsense they're coming up with, talking about God and so forth, it's just erased out of my memory. I don't subscribe to religion. I subscribe to humanity. I believe in humanity. I believe in God. I believe there is something out there that we don't quite understand, we don't quite appreciate, and that's where I draw the line. But religion for me, it's man-made. One way or the other, it's come through somebody. It's filtered, it's polluted, it's wacky at times, it's self-contradictory, and it's just for me, it's not compatible with how humanity should be, should have been, and should be in the future. So that's where I stand as well with it.
So, I was very little, and I was abused for many years. And of course, I didn't deserve it. I didn't ask for it. It just happened. I was very young when it started, and trying to put it together and figure it out as to the why. Why was I treated that way? Why was I abused the way that I was? Because I still am 53. I deal with it every single second of the day. It still affects me, and my abusers, they'll have to face God, and it kind of gives me a little bit of solace and peace on that. But I don't know. I think about it a lot. Like, why did it happen to me? What can I have done differently? Nothing. I was 1 year old. I was very little when it started. So, um, maybe my choice is, am I mad at God? Should I be mad at God for what happened to me? I choose to not be mad at God. And so maybe that's part of, free will is my choice to not be mad at God and hateful the rest of my life, and abusing people, and abusing like I was abused. I don't do any of that. I just sort of feel a little peace that the people that did the things they did to me will have to face God, and I just let it go. I just say, it's up between them and God now.
What's stopping you from being mad at God?
Because I don't know, it's not really in my heart and soul to be mad at God. I don't know. I think there was a point where I was angry and bitter and just, straight up pissed off because, it affects me, like I said, even to the day, that what the things that happened to me, because it was 17 years of it. And, it affects me. It affected me the rest of my whole life, it changed me. It changed me who I was, what I was meant to be. So I just look forward to being able to get past it and be a better person. Saying these people that did these things to me didn't break me. They didn't maybe I'm meant to learn lessons to help people through what I went through. Maybe I can help people that if they're experiencing the same kind of abuse that I did, maybe I can help them.
Um, okay. First of all, I am extremely sorry that you went through what you went through, Erica. Having known you for the number of years I've known you, you're a lovely, lovely lady. You don't deserve any of that. Not now, not never, not in the past. That's a monstrous thing to do to a child of one. Absolutely crazy. It doesn't, I can't even begin to, understand it or try to understand it. It's sickening. However,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'd like for the record to let everybody know if you ever feel angry with God, feel it. Shout at him, swear at him. There's nothing wrong with that. It's healthy. It's perfectly healthy and perfectly fine for you to be angry and to be vocal about it, to express your thoughts, to express your anger. That's fine. Some people will say, oh no, that's blasphemous. No, what's blasphemous? If we want to talk from a religious perspective, what's blasphemous is a child is God watching a child getting abused, a child of one. Now that's blasphemous. Not the child who has grown to be a 52-year-old woman and now is expressing her anger. You're entitled to this anger. I'm not saying this is you specifically here, Erica. Okay, I'm saying it to everyone, including to myself, because this is what has been inspired to me before. Express yourselves. God in all his glory and mighty existence and so forth is not going to leave the whole universe and fuss about why did Garo swear at me. If he's going to be fussing over that, me, a dust particle in the grand scheme of things, then that's not the God that we aspire to connect with. Because I'm insignificant. It's like somebody on the internet calling me, you are a four-eyed. Yeah, so what? You see where I'm coming from? It shouldn't be in any way taken seriously by the other side, and they never do. They want you to express yourselves. So if you feel angry, frustration, let it out. Never hold it in. Incidentally, I do apologize. I do have a very bad cold, and I'm trying to control it as best as I can. I don't want to cancel the session because I felt that we need to connect today. So forgive me if you hear me sneezing or coughing. Uh, Mr. Ali G.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you? Lovely. Uh, I'm just answering a question that you raised earlier, which was you asked the question, is anybody fearful of death?
Yes.
I can tell you I'm absolutely petrified of it. It occupies a lot of my daily thinking. I would regard myself as religious, but my faith is so sorely tested and so sorely stretched at the moment. And I often find that thoughts of my own demise dominate my thinking process and create quite a miserable existence at times. And I'm scared of it. I'm not about to do it. I can tell you, I'm not going to do anything silly because I, I, I have no interest in death whatsoever. I quite like to avoid it. It's not a question of me obsessing about it in that way. I just find the whole concept of it deeply, deeply troubling. Just the finality of it. And I had been, Paula and I spent many a time together talking about this and the process and moving on, etc. And for those times I found myself when I was with her, it was very comforting. But I similarly find all of those toxic thoughts and worries creeping back into my daily life.
It takes a very brave and a very big man to open up about something like this, something as private, and to openly address your vulnerability. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you and how you feel. You'd be surprised how many people actually do fear death, and how many people, not necessarily bad people, good people, they just fear death. And how many people out there mask their fear by doing all sorts of things. Some resort to alcohol, some to drugs, some to dancing, so anything to take the focus away, anything to sort of uh, create a buffer between them and that sort of fear. Um, really, here, the one thing that I've dealt with myself in the early days of my development is I asked myself the question, what am I holding on to? And I found that I was just holding on to me, to my ego, to me, to my reality here. And I thought, well, to hell with that. Um, I can afford to lose me. Um, I'm not asking to be me. I mean, what's so unique about me? Nothing. And then came the reality where perhaps I'm more uh, at an advantage here because I am a psychic medium. And over the years, I've seen the proof of life nearly day after day. So perhaps that's given me the comfort as well that there is something. Yes, I can now talk about it, but perhaps if when the thing actually comes, when my time comes, maybe I wouldn't be talking so candidly about it. Maybe I would be petrified. I don't know. So I do hope that you get some peace. Maybe speaking to a good counselor. I mean, bless her, Paula must have done her best for you. Maybe you can continue where you left off and take it from there, really. What do you think?
Uh, well, I obviously I miss Paula so much, and Paula and I we didn't complete our work together, so her work is undone. If I can say that, I know that sounds probably a bit. I don't know how ridiculous that sounds, but she often spoke and said to me, "Look, we've got much more to do. We've got a lot of work to do," and unfortunately, she was taken from us. So I don't really know what completion I could have reached or what level of attainment. I don't really know about that. I have a cynical side of me as well. I actually said to Paula in one of our sessions, I said for all and she laughed when I said it to her, but I said for all I know, you could be some batty old lady who's just coming out with all of this. She said, yes, I could be. Absolutely. She was very, very straightforward. And it was it was such a lovely exchange when she said, yeah, absolutely. I could be all of those things. But she was of great comfort to me. And I don't really have that anymore. Just, at the moment, I haven't got that type of person in my life who can just offer me that assistance I think that I crave. Because at the moment, I think all counseling tends to be rather therapeutic based and it's formulaic and I know Paula was a little more avant-garde is the best way of describing it. So I think I've got a Paula-sized hole in my life. I miss her quite significantly. And so at some point I'm going to obviously need to fill that gap. I don't quite know where and when and how, but that's my plan. But it's just as I said to you, Garo, it's one of those things in my life that I find troubling. It's a background noise that just won't go away.
I think we all share the same sentiment. We all lost our dear Paula. She was our anchor and our pillar of support. For those who don't know Paula, Paula was our uh, psychotherapist, and she was an advanced human, spiritually, emotionally, and she was a very unique character. Think of Mary Poppins, and you are very much on track with Paula. She was magical. She helped me through a very dark tunnel, and she's helped many people, some of whom are on this group right now. And I would say, if you would be so kind to leave this with me, because I've met many people in my sort of practice, in my service, some of whom are exceptional counselors like Paula and therapists, very empathic. Maybe they're not spiritually as gifted as her. She has that incredible edge, but they are nonetheless, by by any means, any lesser than her in the experience and so forth. So perhaps I may be in a position where I can refer you to somebody and you can test the waters and see if this is something you can connect with. How's that?
Thank you. That sounds wonderful. Thank you very much. And we've got each other's details, but I can send you a direct message.
Please do send me a direct message. You are dealing with somebody who is, yeah, batty like Paula. So I will forget. So kindly do remind me so that I'm not forgetting you, because I wouldn't want to forget trying to be of any service to you. Okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely. Is anybody else finding themselves in such a predicament, afraid of the inevitable? Okay. Any other questions, please? Go ahead, Erica.
I have a question about stigmata. What your thoughts are on that?
About, sorry?
Stigmata.
Oh, funny enough, today I beat you to it, because today, prior to this session, I picked up something about stigmata.
Oh,
So it's the first time, Eric, I beat you. Usually you pick up things that I'm gonna say. I've got one over you here. So I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I do know one thing. The mind is very powerful, and mind over matter is what we are now discovering has a science of its own. So there's a lot of uh, research being done into how much the mind can affect the body. For instance, somebody can be hypnotized, a deep hypnosis, and undergo complex dental treatment, surgery without anesthetic. The mind is able to shut off the pain. And equally, the mind can manifest physically, physical things in us, in our bodies. So stigmata could be one or two. Either it's a manifestation of a physical manifestation from what the mind is producing, or it could be something else. But the one interesting thing, the one very interesting thing, is that When they crucified our Lord, it wasn't through the palms of his hand. That didn't work that way. They would tie a rope and they would crucify here, not through the palms. So it was here that they would crucify. Yet when they have the stigmata situation, they bleed from the palm of their hands, because that's what we see. We see on the crucifixes, we see the image of Christ being crucified from the palm of the hand. So there is this difference. Why is it coming through the palm of the hand as opposed to here? Is it because they've been conditioned that way, they've seen it that way, and that's to the best of their knowledge? You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of interesting schools of thoughts on this. But for me, I look at the bottom line here, Erica. I look, what's the bottom line? Supposing it is something from God. Well, how is this contributing to humanity? I don't see any contribution here. On the contrary, I see a lot of questions being raised. They say there's a statue that moves, a statue of the Virgin Mary that weeps, oil coming from hands, and all sorts of things. Well, supposing it's true, but how is that contributing to humanity? Now, if you tell me that there is a man or a woman who is an incredible healer and people flock to see them, and people have had incredible results, now that I believe is probably more than likely from the other side, from God, and that has a contribution, a positive contribution to humanity. This I would believe in. I hope you see the difference here.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah.
Amelia, you've raised your hand. Please go ahead.
I was just wondering, on the topic, I was just thinking about reincarnation. And do we have to really renounce like all of our humanness to dissolve all of our karma so that we don't have to reincarnate on this dimension again? Like, do we have to, you know, just stop being so worldly and human like in order to not come back here?
I mean,
from what I understand, it's our karma that keeps bringing us back here.
okay.
And so do we have to start wearing, you know, headgear, and do we have to, you know, stop socializing and stop going out into public and, you know, stop just being of this world in order to not come back here? Because that's quite a tough one then. You know, I know people who refuse to even let another human make their food. You know, they've completely renounced the world in order to not come back here. And, you know, I have absolute respect for them. That's a lot to renounce everything, you know, and to remain completely detached and a total devotee. But is that the only way that we can break the wheels of karma, of reincarnating here again and again and again?
Amelia, as I usually do, I answer what I know, and what I don't know, I will say, look, I don't know. I don't know much about karma. I don't know much about reincarnation because I've not been to the other side and come back. Although I went through an experience myself that proved to me that the possibility is very much there, that there is reincarnation, because I used to be someone who never believed in it. But whether it is something that will be imposed on us to pay a karmic debt, or for us to learn to come back and be recycled as such, who knows? Maybe it is the case. I don't know. As for living, detached from other humans and so forth, I don't believe that is the way forward. I believe we are here to link together as humans. And we are here to learn from one another, to link together. We are here to cook together. We are here to eat from one another, to enjoy, have a laugh, giggle, tickle. This is what humanity is about, to have fun. I mean, I can't see myself not connecting with you guys. The few people who are here, and many of you, if I don't see you again, that would be the most disastrous thing for me. I'd rather die. No, I want to see you. I want to connect with you. I want to connect with all those who I love. And that's what I thrive on. So I don't believe if you detach yourself, you're going to be safe from the karma. Uh, yeah, okay. If you start to do horrible things and hurt people, then maybe there is some sort of a karmic debt or something. I don't know how that works. Uh, Perhaps that kicks in and you're brought back. Maybe you come back as a cockroach and you'll have to avoid people stepping on you. God knows. Uh, Personally, I'm not asked. If I do come back, fine, I come back. And if I don't come back, I know not many people will miss me. So I'll be fine over there. So there you go.
I do believe from my recent experiences in the last, I would say, 3 years, and having some dear ones pass away, that actually I feel the worst thing we can do is actually isolate and be detached. Because actually, when we come together and we connect and we come together in community, we can really uplift and nourish one another. And, quite often in our suffering, we isolate in our suffering, and our suffering becomes worse, actually, because it is so dark. But when we come together in community and we connect, we actually really nourish each other through love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I think actually connectedness is a huge part of being human and coming together.
Absolutely.
And I think one of the best things I could have done in the last 3 years was to learn to open up and be open to receive community, and to be strengthened when I was weak, and to have light from my community when everything was dark, actually.
Now it's my turn to give you a thumbs up. Well done. Yes, we do need some time off when we're hurt. We need time to lick our wounds. We need time to detach, to find ourselves again, to find our sanity again, depending on how severe the situations are. But eventually, there is no escape. We have to reconnect with people. And as you rightly said, Amelia, the essence of life is love, not the romantic love. The love in service of others, the love to connect with people, to say, Garo, I feel bad. And Garo immediately does something, links with you, says, come on, let's go and have a coffee. That is love, to link with each other. Without this link, without this love, we are nothing. We will not thrive. We will, in fact, fall back, and we will very sadly disintegrate. This is the essence of life, absolutely. But would you want to reincarnate if you had a choice? And this question,
I don't ever want to reincarnate on this planet again. I'm grateful for my life. I would still say I've had an extraordinary life. That's how I choose to see it. And one life here the life this life's been more than enough for me. It really has. And I don't want to come back here to this planet. But then my other side, my defiant side, but why should I have to denounce absolutely everything and then not enjoy this life and not actually enjoy the human experience, So I sit here, I don't want to come back. I really don't. I feel adamant on that. But I'm also sitting here like, so what, I really have to stop wearing those clothes, and what, I really have to cover my hair, and what, I really have to stop doing that and stop doing that and stop listening to that music and like renounce everything that brings in the human experience, even down to, I don't know. Like I said, I've got a lot of people in my life who've renounced everything, and I have the greatest respect for them. It's not easy what they do, but then I also sit there and go, looks pretty boring as well. So, and
may I ask you, what is it about wearing something to your head? What do you mean exactly by that?
well, like I said, I've got a lot of people in my circle. They you start to dress differently. You start to cover things. You don't do a lot of human things. As I said, they won't let people even cook their meals. They won't eat out. I call it humanness. You got to renounce all your humanness in order to get to heaven.
Okay.
Whilst you're on this human plane, it's just like, I'm like, that's a bit unfair.
Well, I guess to each his own. If they want to cover up, they cover up. That's their thing. But I tell you one thing, if you're not planning to come back, I highly recommend that you make the most of what you have here now.
Yeah. And
Enjoy every day as it comes. Because if you're not coming back, then leave at least with a good souvenir.
I've got enough souvenirs already from this one. I've got a lot. I just don't see why we can't have fun and be silly and be playful. I don't see why it has to be so serious in order to break our karma and to not reincarnate. I don't see why life can't be colourful and playful and silly.
Amelia, life is colorful and playful, but unfortunately, there are powers that be here on this planet who want us to be serious. And because that's when they have ultimate control over us. Because they don't have the control they would have on us if we are so eclectic and so colorful and so in touch with life and so forth, the beauty of it. But if they put you in a corner, then they have the advantage. And that's where, power, money, religion, all of them, they do the same thing. The serious, it's time to be serious. The worst people I've met in my field of work are those who are very, very serious. I've often noticed that there's something not right there because we're not made to be serious. We're made to be playful. We're made to laugh and enjoy. This is a planet where we derive pleasure from, where we learn from, where we make each other feel happy and share with each other, not serious. I mean, our perfect example is for instance, Christ, when the children ran up to him and the people said, hey, get the children away from him. Why? Because they want serious. And he said, no, 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 let them come and play. And this reflects to me exactly that he is someone who appreciates that for what it is.
Thank you.
Sure. Anyone else wants to reincarnate or doesn't want to reincarnate? Leslie, go ahead.
Hi. I'm not exactly certain how I found myself here or the full depth of what questions we're going through, but I will say that in my recent spiritual journey over the last 10 years, when I found out that there could be a life after the life I am living, there was so much more freedom emotionally for me that I don't have to worry that my life did not end up with a picket fence and 2.5 kids, that this life that I'm in now was one where I was supposed to help a lot of kids and not have my own. And that perhaps a future life, it will be my turn to have kids. But I do have dogs. So I don't know if I fully understand what reincarnation will be, because I feel like I have, in the few years that my father has been passed, I feel like I have been in connection with his spirit, which has been wonderful and really helpful in the journey of not to grieve so much the absence of his physical presence. So I don't exactly know the whole concept of the reincarnation because I feel like I still have access to my father's spirit. So I don't know if he reincarnates, if I will still have access to my father. But I have more peace knowing that in this life, it might not be my last life. So there's peace that this is my journey now, and a future journey that my spirit might have might be different, and that's okay.
Ultimately, you are in the command seat yourself, and you decide if you want your journey to end here, then your journey will continue on the other side and remain on the other side. And if you choose to come back, then it'll be a different journey from what you know now. So you decide.
But if somebody chooses to come back, does their spirit still exist in the other sense? Like, does my father's spirit still exist as my father, or is it then gone?
Okay, this is a very deep question here. I'm going to try, and please don't get me the wrong way, but I'm going to try and explain it to you because I couldn't get my head around it myself, and I still can't. But I'll explain to the best of my knowledge according from what I received from my guide. Ultimately, we are spirit before being human. Human is just a thought. We are now human, but ultimately we are spirit. And the spirit, be it here or Mars or in any other dimension, we will always be connected. Beyond just my mom and dad, I'm saying we will all be connected. So it goes back. So biological parents, yes, we feel we are clinging onto, we feel we are connected with because they are our parents, we know them and so forth. But once the veil is removed, we see the broader picture. If you remember, I don't know if you know, I mean, from the Bible, there is something where Jesus was preaching, and someone says, your brothers and sisters are here, or something like that. And he goes, who are my brothers and sisters? Everyone here is my brothers and sisters. This is the depth of it. So it goes beyond your own biological father. It goes beyond my biological mother, who I lost, or my dad, or whoever, because ultimately we
Mhm.
are all connected at that sort of level. Now,
Mhm.
there are some people who will come up with all sorts of stories, all sorts of theories. They go from one ear, come out the other, as far as I'm concerned. Some people will tell you when we reincarnate, a part of us remains on the other side. We reincarnate with another part here on Earth. I don't know, Leslie. I don't know. I don't remember there is another part I've left behind. And what is that part? I mean, for goodness sake, there's another Garo, a mini Garo on the other side somewhere. I don't know. That doesn't sit well with me. As far as I'm concerned, I'm here. I have five senses and a sixth sense, of course, and this I function. I have to eat. I have to, sleep. I have to go to work. This is what life is about. However, if we're going to look at it from the perspective, well, once I go, I meet up with my mom and I see her. Do I really want to go? No, you don't have to go. But there will come a time when, according to what it's been inspired on me, when when you are ready to go, and when you know that you are now a higher being than just a mere mortal, and that you will reconnect with them, regardless of where they are, who they are, you will always connect with them as a spirit. And that's when you
Mhm.
say, okay, you know what? I am going to take the plunge. Go back to Earth, go through this experience again. Hopefully, it'll be a nicer one, and then come back. So there is this as an option. It's a school of thought.
Mhm. Mhm. Got it.
Yeah. So all is not lost. We will reconnect with them, and then we can choose to do whatever we want.
Mhm. Yes. And what about animals?
Who? What?
Animals. What about animals? Our
Oh,
pets, dogs.
uh, Leslie, when I was a child, I come from Lebanon by origin. We regard animals as the lowest of the chain. We have no respect for animals in Lebanon. They're treated very badly. It took me years to become more westernized, living here in England, to appreciate animals. And now I adore them because I see them far, far more advanced than we can ever be. So animals are in fact waiting for us over there. We will reconnect with them. And I think it's the same theory. Whether we want to come back and leave them, but we will always reconnect with them. The same as with our parents, the same as with other loved ones. So nothing will be lost.
Mhm. Thank you.
Incidentally, I don't usually connect with animals on demand. There are mediums who actually are have that sort of ability or gift, whatever you want to call it. They can actually connect
Mhm.
animal kingdom, which is beautiful and unique. However, they do from time to time come and visit when I'm giving a reading. And it brings the client or the sitter or whoever, my people, a very, very big comfort to know that their animal is there and that they're safe, they're happy, and that they're being appreciated. In fact, one lady I had a sitting with once, before any of her loved ones came through, her beautiful, huge dog. I can't even remember what breed it was. He came through, and I was literally feeling it right next to me. And I said, "Look, this is what's going on," and she loved it. She said, "This is typically him. Typically him. This is what's to be the life and soul of the party. The attention seeker. This is him." So
Mhm.
yeah, absolutely.
Mhm. So spirits in a reading chooses to come through to you?
Yes, they connect with me. I don't know much about the technical aspect of it, Leslie. I don't want to know much because I don't understand how it works. And I guess there's a fine line between how much would be my opinion and how much would be imagination and how much it is what it is for a fact. So
Mhm.
I try not to dissect it. But the way it works with me is we meet in the middle ground, myself and those from the other side. And we connect in a very strange way. Uh, I work with them where I feel them, I feel their presence, I get images in my head, I hear their voices sometimes, I feel that they're in the room with me sometimes. That's how it happens. It's almost like a phone call from the other side.
Mhm. Mhm.
Sometimes I feel that they're actually right next to me. I do feel them.
Mhm.
But most of the time, it's just the connection.
Mhm. Mhm. Both my sister and I have felt my father's hands on our backs,
Beautiful.
which, yes, it was very beautiful.
Yeah. That's, I'm sure, feeling that from your father, may his soul rest in peace, uh, that would have given you both a lot of comfort.
Mhm.
Yeah. Which is,
Yes. But at the same time, like I remember when it happened to me, I didn't know if I had a hood on and maybe a hood fell down or what, but I felt the message and I felt the hand and I felt the love and I thought to myself, "Oh, I better tell my sister about this so that she's not scared." And I forgot to do so. And it was months later where I said to her, "Oh, by the way, I think you should know this. It might have been a hood, but I thought I felt dad's hand." And she said, "It's happened to me. It was dad's hand." So she's like, "You weren't wearing a hood."
you see, this is the beauty of how the other side works. You forgot, which is very fortunate, because had you told her, then both of you would be sitting there analyzing, was it our mind because we've actually spoken
Mhm,
about this? But now the confirmation,
mhm.
the fact that your sister was completely oblivious to it. So
Right. It was very powerful
yes,
that she said, and the fact that she chose not to tell me, it was this delayed conversation where she said, "Oh no, that was dad. I've felt it before."
that's really beautiful. That's really, really beautiful.
Mhm,
Honor it, treasure it. And you know what? You can link with him. You can ask him to come back and visit you and link with you through this or a dream or whatever else. So it's available for you.
mhm. Thank you.
Oh, my dear. Amelia,
Is there a way to be able to tell the difference between your intuition and then logic?
Please, can you elaborate?
Um, okay. Uh, like getting maybe downloads from the other side, or knowing that feeling a loved one is trying to communicate or give you a sign from the other side, just to let them know that you're there. How can you tell the difference that that wasn't your mind creating that was actually like intuitively you picked up on that, intuitively you got that message?
Um, you know, this is a very, very valid question. It took me years to put this logical mind of mine down to earth and to lock it in a box and to say, get lost. Because previously, whenever I'd get anything, I would sit there and dissect it. Was this my imagination? Is this real? How do I know I'm not imagining things? The worst would be me sitting there talking to people, telling them things. And if I'm not sure that this is coming from the other side, then that would be absolutely criminal. I wouldn't want to give people hope and mislead them and, talk nonsense. No, absolutely not. It took me a long time to be able to get rid of it. And remember, I come from a background of IT. I specialized in computers, so it's black, white, black, white. And here, the Blessed Paula played a big role in my life to bring me out of that and to make me understand that it is happening and stop analyzing. It took me a while. So when I got rid of the logical side to me, um, I felt in a way liberated, but I also felt very comfortable because logic empowers us. Without logic, you're relying on your feeling and your sensitivity. So I had to put all my trust in spirit on the other side, in my helpers, and to say, look, I am going to put my trust in you, and I'm going to move on with my life, knowing that I am going to be relying solely on my intuition here. And so slowly, I started to feel certain signs that indicate to me that this is your intuition. I am going to give you an example, and we learned the hard way. I have a friend who once walked into a library, and there was a section in the library, and I think you know the friend I'm referring to, that she wasn't supposed to, and yet she went.
Yeah.
Now, that is hardcore intuition. And she was taught the lesson. Listen, listen to your feeling. One thing that helps me as well is I feel tingling all over. When I feel the tingling, I know I'm on the right path here. I know I'm on the right frequency. I know that it's not something that my mind is conjuring up. So you learn with experience. It doesn't come overnight. We all learn. You should talk to Erica, in fact. She's the master of intuition. And she's had to learn the hard, hard way of trusting her intuition, which is phenomenal, by the way.
I was, I was just wondering if you can just try to tell the difference, but sometimes I irrefutably know. I know. I just know, and there's no doubt at all, and I'm at absolute peace with what I know. Um, but I guess there's a lot of us around us who may doubt us, or as you say, dissect everything, and then you start doubting yourself because everything's getting dissected. And yeah, but like you, I get the goosebumps everywhere, the chills, when I'm not alone, there's a presence with me. I get it's like ice water running through me, head to toe, and goosebumps. Sometimes it can be absolute, almost euphoric in a way sometimes. And I just know it happens like that. But then I have to go with it. But in that moment, I will let the logic come in and I'll completely pick it all apart every time. Every time.
Well, perhaps in the future, rather than resort to the comfort zone, which is your logic,
Yeah.
go the other way. What is it? Who is there? What are you trying to tell me here? Now, if you start to feel unpleasant, then shut down, because the good spirit will never make you feel unpleasant. I get the tingles, I get goosebumps, but it's a pleasant feeling. But if you start to feel like heavy, nauseous, or something, then something is not right. Then pull back.
Okay.
Generally, it comes with time. And Amelia, forget people. People, especially nowadays, have a habit of criticizing everything, being cynical, and being pathetic, really. So I just don't listen to people. I do what I do.
Thank you.
Sure. Mr.
Can I
Ali,
ask along the same? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
sorry, Erica. We'll see what Ali G wants, because he's got his hand up for a while now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello, that just feeding into what you were talking about and what I've just listened to. I don't feel that I have any abilities. If there was anybody who was blind and deaf to the other side, it's got to be me. And I think that's one of the problems, just tapping into what we spoke about earlier with my sort of fear of death and no reassurance of what goes on in the afterlife. Because the faith that I have is best described as blind faith, because I don't have those experiences or anything to tap into or to confirm what's potentially on the other side. I have to take it from, dare I say, I take it from yourself, I take it from Paul, or I take it from my friend Christine. So there are people around me who can give me some sort of degree of reassurance, which in the absence of anything else is obviously what I seek and what I'm after. However, it's something that I would love to experience for myself, and just don't know A, whether I've already done so, or B, whether I will ever have that opportunity.
Um, you'd be surprised to learn that the majority of people on this planet, including my own wife, are completely oblivious to it and don't have the ability, have never really experienced anything of significance, anything that they can hold on to and say that, oh, wow, this was absolutely phenomenal. This was something from the other side. The majority of people don't. There are also some psychics and mediums who don't have the ability. They pretend they do. These are scammers and conmen. So in your case, uh, perhaps you're lucky to have people around you who sort of gave you that sort of link, albeit it's an abstract way, a long-winded way, not direct. Because, yes, of course, nothing beats a direct experience, a direct link. But maybe this is as good as it gets for you at this stage of life. Perhaps one day something will occur for you where you may open up at a different level. Maybe this awaits you. I don't know. I don't know why this thing is this way. And I can see, I mean, I can feel that you want to, uh, uh, you know, feel something tangible, feel it for yourself to satisfy your soul. So this explains the void that you're sort of not afraid of, but that creates you the anxiety, if I'm not mistaken. because you haven't felt it for yourself. And taking people's word for it, well, it can go so far to be comforting, but not any more than that. So I pray from the bottom of my heart that one day you will have some sort of experience that can satisfy your soul, to release you from the shackles where you are, so that you can then have the comfort that you're seeking, the peace and the love that you're seeking. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I do.
Erica, you were saying something.
Yeah, so I was going to say something about how you know that it's not just your brain telling you certain things and it's in it, but it is psychically coming to you, or from a spirit guide or whatever it might be. Um my experience is that I get feelings that are not mine. They're not my own feelings. Like I'm in a class, and we were doing like sort of readings with each other, and although I wasn't able to pick up on the specifics that the task was like the man's name, when how'd he die, all these things, I picked up on like feelings that and phrases that I relayed to the lady, that she said, "Oh my gosh, it sounds just like something he would say." And I said, "Yeah, and I was giggling, like, and I felt love for her, but I didn't really know her. So it's like feelings that go along with the thoughts. And that's for me. Um, but my question then, do you have any things like, are there things that people kind of hold them back psychically, like if they have certain feelings, emotions, vices, if they are an alcoholic, will that hold them back from being psychically at their full potential?
You mean people here on Earth, if they have vices, would these come in the way, basically?
Correct. Get in their way. Yeah.
Um, to some degree, yes. Uh, I mean, if you're consuming crazy amounts of alcohol, then you're not focused. As it is, we are in a normal state of mind. We are dissecting whether what we're picking up is normal, is natural, it's whether it comes from a reliable source, is it real? If you add that component to it of alcohol or drugs or anything else, then you will be really confused. And how do you trust your brain then? No, not really. And spirit don't usually work with somebody who's like that. They will stay away because they need a pure vessel. They need someone who's pure. They also seek those who are pure at heart, by the way, because they can see everything. They can see us. No, there's no hiding. Now I can here pretend and put on a mask and be very, gracious and very charming and so forth. But with spirit, it doesn't cut it that way. They see through it. So they will not work with someone who doesn't have that in them. So these are the components that are very important for them to be linked to us.
It's kind of one of the reasons I'm not mad at God, is because I think that would block me more or if I was bitter and angry and all of that. I, I would feel like that would hinder me a little bit. So I try not to be that way.
You see, you will know your own poison. You will know what stops you. I know what stops me, for instance. I know what would come in the way, and I know what would affect me. So every one of us has something that could come in the way. A long time ago, I led a very carefree sort of life. I was very irresponsible. That's about 30 years ago. And I was indulging in smoking pot. Hey, it was happy days, like an idiot. And then I learned that that had severe consequences on my gift, on my ability. I wasn't picking anything up. And this was killing me very slowly. Because when you have the ability, you have to use it in service of others, full stop. You have to use it to be attuned. So when I started my journey, I gave up. And I haven't ever touched drugs or anything in my life for 30 years. And I never will. I do enjoy alcohol. And believe you me, there are times when I would get carried myself and enjoy alcohol. That's fine. But thank heavens I'm not like an alcoholic where I have to depend on it to find my sanity here because it is not compatible with what I do. Answers you, Erica?
Yeah.
Okay. Amelia.
Question, could I just say something to Ali, please?
Yes, of course, please.
Ali, I just wanted to thank you for sharing so openly and so unfiltered. And I think that's very, very brave to share so unfiltered. And when you said, I feel like my faith is blind faith, I actually don't think that having blind faith is a bad thing, because faith isn't faith until it's actually all you're holding on to. And I know people who have no faith. There's nothing. But the fact that you're saying, I guess mine is blind faith, means there must be somewhere a deep knowing, and maybe you can't connect to it. But the fact that you're saying, I guess my faith is blind, but you're here, you met Paula, you were, privileged enough to meet Paula and have some time with her. And I don't think you saying I have blind faith is actually a bad thing. And I agreed with everything that Garo said about perhaps this void and this anxiety that you have. But I just wanted to thank you for sharing so unfiltered. I thought it was very brave of you. And to say your blind faith, in my opinion, is not a bad thing, because there's something there. And I know people who have absolutely nothing and they don't care and they don't believe. And it's very dark and very morbid. And sometimes your true testament of faith is when you have nothing else to go by. And I was in a very horrible place at one time in my life, in literally a really horrible, torturous place. And they used religion to really hurt us. And that's where my faith was really, really challenged. And there was absolutely no signs of God or love or universe or the other side or anything. And sometimes our humanness looks for like some physical proof or identity. We need physical evidence. Our humanness needs that because we're on this physical plane, right? But actually the soul knows. The soul just knows. And I just wanted to thank you for sharing so bravely. I thought it was really beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you.
That was really beautiful of you, Amelia. And I am sure it is very graciously received by Ali. So it will go a long way to give him the courage and the faith in himself, if anything. And Ali, I don't know you at a personal level, we haven't met, but I do get good feelings about you. So bless you for whatever you're doing. Keep up the good work, and maybe one day our path will cross. And we can have a little drink together.
Gary, I'm certain they are, and thank you, Amelia. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we are about 20 minutes away. So if anyone has a question, now is your time. Stephanie, go ahead.
Hello. This question is totally different kind of than what we've been talking about, but I was just curious about symbols. So I understand, or my understanding is that mediumship, the symbols are individual, the meanings are individual to that particular medium and how they relate the messages to the symbols. But then I look at dreams and symbols in dreams and then you see books on dream interpretation and all of that. Is that different? Is the symbols that you might see in a dream or something that comes to in a dream, is that an individual meaning for that person, or is it more of the interpretation that you find in books and things, or the symbols in your belief or your opinion, I should say, out of a medium where they're individual means to that individual person?
I think
Does that make sense?
the symbols are, I think the symbols are very much unique to the medium, to their level of comprehension. So I'll give you an idea, an example. I often get a symbol in my head when I'm having a session with somebody where it shows me like the street sign, and you see two roads going this way. And that to me is a symbol of separation. I see two things going this way, and I feel that this is conflict. So some of the symbols, I think they project things that we can understand. If they were to show me a symbol to indicate separation, but show me, let's say, a rocket separating from itself, maybe I wouldn't understand. But me, Garo, I would understand when I see something like this. So it will be the intelligence level, the comprehension level of the medium. Because after all, the purpose is to come with clarity, to get the message across, and to give the sitter the message that they need. So I don't know whether they are linked in any way or parallel to dream interpretations. Again, who is interpreting the dream? Is it someone sitting there saying, "Oh, okay, if you see a fox wearing red socks, it means that this is going to happen, or that this indicates that"? I have no idea. There's a lot of things that are basically at a human level where people create things that mean something to them. There's a lot of people out there that want to make money selling books and materials. So they'll come up with all sorts. I can now go to ChatGPT,
Sure.
ask them to ask ChatGPT to write me a book on the interpretation of dreams. And it'll interpret whatever it wants, however it makes sense to the artificial intelligence. But to me, I feel what comes from spirit are very simple, very subtle messages. Incidentally, one of the very common messages that I get is when the spirit comes, when I sort of link with it, if it stays in the background and doesn't step and links with me in a whole way, meaning it lacks vivid color, and I see like a grayish image, that to me over the years I've learned that this probably indicates one of two things. Either the person may have taken their own life or they've been murdered. So that comes to me, that's how I understand it. And it helps me a lot because that means I'm cutting through a lot of nonsense to get to the actual bottom line here. So, yeah, that's as far as I know of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, guys, we have just 10 minutes left here. If anyone wants to share or ask a question, you don't have to ask a question. If there's anything you want to share, feel free. You have 10 minutes. I'm sorry, I don't know the name behind the Lenovo, so please go ahead.
Hello, it's Emma. Sorry, I didn't realize I hadn't changed the name.
Okay, hello there.
Uh, hello. I just wanted to thank everyone, because for me, this, first of all, it's a privilege and honor that it's such a safe space. Anyone can say what they feel, what they want, and they get great replies and answers. So thank you, Garo, as well. So for me today, as always, actually, but today, so many things have helped and become clear. So moving forward, I think that will help with a lot of things. So thank everyone for their honesty. Thank you, Ali. Again, I agree totally with Amelia. It's not easy. I think we've all, at one point or another, been through many, many things. So thank you, everyone. It has helped enormously. So that's from my point of view.
You're very welcome, and we're always here. We're always welcoming everybody to join us, and I hope we will continue to grow, all of us. I learned from you as much as you learn from me. This is how it is. We learn from one another, and this is what makes us unique as humans, to grow and learn about what could be in the future. So thank you, all of you, for joining. I take it there will be no more questions. If nobody has any questions, then we will close the meeting. Leslie, do you have anything? Bye. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Look out for the next one that's going to come soon. And I really hope that we will meet again. Be safe, be kind, and I love all of you. You take good care. God bless you.
Thank you. God bless.